And you've been a leader all through. Anything which you feel that in your leadership has challenged you over the years, which is not in line with what you want it to be?
Even if the ecosystem has challenged me in a certain ways, I have tried to manage it while focusing on the things that I wanted to do.
Ethics and success, they don't go hand in hand. What's your take on that?
Can you be ethical and yet do good business? And therefore, like I said, my entire professional value system has been shaped by Tata, and I've seen Tatas do that. At least Tata Steel I can talk about. Yes. Tata Steel was very, very successful and we were very ethical.
It's very difficult to discipline oneself.
Being good is always difficult. Eating healthy is always difficult. Exercising is always difficult. Anything good that you can think of is difficult.
Personally, I see you as someone who has consciously kept himself so fit, so agile. How it started happening?
A healthy mind can reside only in a healthy body. Pursue all your passions, whatever you want, but make sure that you're taking out at least 1 hour every day for physical exercise.
If today you have to deliver your last lecture, what you are going to say? From the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro to the classrooms, from taking a pause for oneself to teaching business leaders how to learn to reflect. Let's talk to a leader today through his journey, a person, his persona and the personality, about his reflections, about his ability to keep himself inspired, and someone who has been not only a role model but an inspiration to me personally. It's an honor and my personal privilege to have Dr Himanshu Rai, Director IIM Indore, on Ek Disha Moments. So chaliye, let's enjoy the conversation with him. You know, something which I mean, what people look at you is you are a great mentor, leader. To me, you embody courage, humility, and lot of vision. Whether you are conquering mountains, you're
very kind. You're very kind.
No,
I hope that I deserve just even a little bit of it.
No, that's the point. That is why I said the humility. I couldn't think of a better beginning than having you, and thank you so much for being part of Ek Disha Moments, sir.
My pleasure.
Now, so many things we have heard about you, we have interacted. Tell me, and let's go a little unconventional and ice-breaking in a way. If I right now go to your fridge in your house, what will I find in the fridge?
I have absolutely no idea because I can't even recall when did I see my fridge last. But what you will find when you walk up to my fridge are fridge magnets from all over the world.
Oh, wow.
So even before you open it, you will get something.
So that's interesting. Have the magnets of the globe around you to keep shining. Interesting. We all know how you take forward the legacy around world with IIM Indore. Let's talk about the time when you were younger or maybe a child, your Kanpur days, right? What was there in your Kanpur days during your childhood which actually still provokes you as a memory and tells you that, yeah, this is something I am still trying to figure out?
Not that I'm trying to figure out, but my memory from Kanpur days are very, very vivid. Because that's where I was born and I was brought up. And, you said something about me being very grounded. And I think the reason for that is my childhood, growing up in the Kanpur days. So I come from a very humble family. My father was the first person to come out of the village.
And you are still very humble, sir.
My father was the first person to come out of the village and start working in a factory in Kanpur. My mother's family, they suffered the horrors of partition and they shifted from Pakistan in 1947 and settled in Kanpur. My brother and I and my parents, we grew up in a one-bedroom house. In fact, that's much better than my mother, who 9 of them grew up in one room.
Oh, wow. 9
in one room. But, I was sent to the best school. My parents did everything that they could to send me to the best school possible. It was way beyond their means, and my mom used to take tuitions and my dad used to do overtime to make sure that they sent me to that school. So I have very fond memories of my school, what my school did for me. And I studied in 3 different schools.
Oh.
In my first school, I think they developed in me, because I used to participate in a lot of debates, so they developed in me this love for speaking on stage. My second school had mandatory sports, activity, and society. And the stuff that I took up there was dramatics and fruit preservation. So I can actually make good jams and sauces. And my third school, which was Central School, gave me the first, let's say, tryst with leadership, because while I was in class 11th, and the norm was that the class 12th student was made the school leader, I was in 11th and they made me the school leader. So I learned how to handle a lot of things in my school days. The other memory that I have from my Kanpur days is the fact that, we were thrown out of the house at 3:30, and then we were asked to come back only when the sun was setting. So we used to play outside. And whenever we played outside, the thing that stays in my memory is that depending on what we decided to play, we would play in somebody's house or outside somebody's house. And you could just walk into the person's house and you would be fed, you would be given water, you would be taken care of. It didn't matter whose house it was. Things are very different right now.
Those were the days.
Yeah. So I have very fond memories of those things growing up in Kanpur.
What is actually very striking here is that you spoke about dramatics not even when you were in your 10th, right? Even now, that is something which people are not able to understand. You started becoming a leader when people did not even know the meaning or the word even leader.
I got the opportunities.
So I will again say that you being very humble, you actually worked towards it, and maybe you were little more hardworking in your own ways. Again, when we go back to Kanpur days, and I must say that the role of parents, they took a lot of hardships and ensure that you get what you deserve. Anything after being through that, while you were being with your parents, strikes to you that they felt that this is something he would not be able to do, and you believed in something like that?
No, never.
Wow.
My
Amazing.
parents never thought that there was anything that I couldn't do. In fact, they were scared because one thing they always kept telling people was that whatever he does, he will become the best at that. So we hope that he picks up something which is very positive. I think the only time we had a kind of a difference of opinion was when I, at the age of 30, decided to quit Tata Steel and go back to academics, go back to school. And I had written CAT and I resigned without even waiting for the results. And everyone around me was angry and hassled and furious, saying, at least wait for the results. But I was so sure that I had figured out what I wanted to do with my life, that I did not want to have a backup kind of thing. And I was so sure the moment you become sure of what you want to do, you automatically also become sure of what you don't want to do. And therefore, I did not want to continue doing what I did not want to do.
This is a line we should be remembering and quoting more often. Don't do what you don't want to do. Focus on you need to do. Amazing. The shocking part here is that Tata Steel, which used to be the top of the Navratna.
Oh, it still is.
It still is.
It's a brilliant company. It's a brilliant company. My entire professional value system has been shaped by the Tata value system.
Someone who has left Tata's long time back still talks about that. That again talks about the character of a person. Something which shapes you, you always regard and have high regards for them. But even that courage, and that is why I have said in the beginning that courage is something which not many, I would still feel, would have that. Let's take this to your leadership now. And you've been a leader all through, irrespective of the designations. Let's say
I've tried.
You've been, and you are inspiring many of us to be like that. Anything which you feel that in your leadership has challenged you over the years, which is not in line with what you want it to be, and your ecosystem is not letting you do that, or your team is not letting you do that?
You always face challenges at
Yes.
every point of time, be it your personal sphere, be it your professional sphere. And because when I talk about leadership, I talk about leading yourself first.
Correct.
And having a personal vision as well as a vision for the organization. And therefore, you will face challenges. And you might face challenges from outside as well. But one of the things that I've always believed in, and therefore I do it as a matter of practice, is I divide things into two areas. One is what I call areas of control, The other is what I call areas of concern.
Wow.
Area of control are things which are within my hand and I can do something about it. Areas of concern are things which are not in my control. I'll give you a very quick example. So COVID.
Yes.
How long is the virus going to stay around? How is it going to mutate? When would the vaccine come? Not in our control. What was in our control? Wear a mask, maintain personal distance, build up your immunity. So these are areas of control. So I always focus on the areas of control and try not to bother about areas of concern or spend time, energy, money, or other resources in chasing the areas of concern. So that has helped me a lot. So even if the ecosystem has challenged me in a certain ways, I have tried to manage it while focusing on the things that I wanted to do. And one thing
Yes.
that I've truly believed in, and I've seen it happen at every point of time in my life, is that when you really have the conviction about something, things start falling in place. Things start falling in place. And those little barriers that might have come initially, they start melting away.
Is that how you started conquering mountains?
Earlier even I used to use this term called conquering mountains. But again, one of the things I realized is that it's the beauty of the mountains that they're letting me be on them. So
Wow.
instead of conquering mountains, I would say
Correct.
I'm being allowed to look at the beauty of those summits that I do.
Amazing. Yeah. So that's a very interesting line, I think. That's what Ek Disha talks about. A lot of people say that ethics and success, they don't go hand in hand. What's your take on that?
It's very interesting because I had a boss. He's still my guardian. And he was my boss when I had a stint in corporate communications during my 8.5 years in Tata Steel. For 2.5 years, I was with the corporate communications department. And everything that I know about corporate communications, I know it because of him. So he was somebody who really inspired me.
Yeah.
And when I went to the academia, I used to invite him to take a session. And that title of the session was To Be Ethical and to Be in Delhi.
Oh, wow.
Because there was some kind of a paradox. But the whole point that he was trying to make is that can you be ethical and yet do good business? And therefore, like I said, my entire professional value system has been shaped by the Tatas, and I've seen Tatas do that. At least Tata Steel I can talk about.
Yes.
Tata
Yes.
Steel was very, very successful, and we were very ethical. There was absolutely no way that we would cross certain boundaries which were very, very clearly maintained. You see, things could be difficult. And people might push you. But once they know that you are an ethical person, you are a person who believes in clear right and wrong, by and large, I've seen people let you be. People let you be. So you can be. The only thing that you need to be very sure of is that you draw your boundaries and you make sure that you never ever cross your boundaries, and you make sure that everyone else knows that these are your boundaries. Once you have them, I think you can be ethical and successful.
So, I mean, what you are trying to say is it is more and more about oneself rather than
Absolutely.
about the world around.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very interesting. But it's very difficult to discipline oneself. And
Being good is always difficult. Eating healthy is always difficult. Exercising
God.
is always difficult.
Oh, God.
You
You
know,
are
anything
giving-
good that you can think of is difficult.
you are giving me complexes. In your life, not only professionally and otherwise, there are moments when, we feel that we have high stakes, lot of accountability, responsibility. There are moments when emotions would drive you to do something which are, 50-50, I should do, I should not do. How do you handle those situations? Because I'm sure that you must be coming across these kind of situations dozens of times every day, right? How do you handle those situations? And if you can quote an incident, I know that I am throwing this at you like this, but if you could.
That's a very good question. So there are several times that I've faced dilemmas. And if I were to jog my memory, the latest dilemma that I faced was during COVID times. So when we got to know that COVID is raging, when to close the institute, so to say, and ask the students to go back. Now that was a dilemma. And that was a dilemma where you didn't have time. And when you don't have time, I rely on my gut feeling, my intuition. And that is something that I've built because of my mountaineering and because of my Himalayas. I always call them my Himalayas because they are my spiritual abode. And I'll tell you about the dilemma that I faced there as well,
yes,
and
please.
what did
Yeah.
I learn from that.
Yeah.
You know, it was so amazing that I called my COA, the Chief Officer of Administration, and the government had said that there would be a lockdown of 2 weeks. And I called my COA. I said, let's send everyone back and please get in rations inside the campus for 3 months. And he was like,
Oh, so
3
you
months?
could, yeah.
He said, 3 months, sir, it's just 2 weeks. I said, no, I can feel it. This is something very, very different. We got the ration for 3 months, and lo and behold, COVID, the lockdown was way beyond the 2 weeks thing that we were talking about. In fact, he asked me later that, how on earth did you think of this? And I said, I don't know really. So this was my gut feeling, which was coming out of my intuition. And this is something that you learn in the Himalayas. So when you are doing a summit, there's some times when there is something inside you that says, no, not today. It's not the best time to continue today. And you follow it. And once in a while, you may be wrong. I mean, the weather may still continue to be good, and you might start wondering, hey, I could have done the summit today. But then what I've realized is that if you follow your gut feeling, you will mostly be right. And I think this is the one that is coming to my mind. You face dilemmas just about every day. If you have the luxury of time, it's always useful to also bounce off whatever you are thinking against some people that you have trust on, against some people who you believe are also thinking on similar lines, are thinking, good about the organization or whatever collective it is that you represent, even if that collective is your family or your neighborhood, etc., etc. But if you don't have the luxury of time, listen to your intuition. And by the way, intuition is not some kind of a random, tossing a mental coin and making a decision. Intuition is something that you build over a period of time through your experiences, through your learning, which stay in some or the other subliminal form. And which is why I keep saying that Himalayas shape it for me, because when you are trekking or when you are summiting, doing an expedition, the intuition keeps getting built about what steps should you take next, which route should you take, should you proceed today or not, depending on the weather.
You are giving it to the Himalayas. I feel that I think much before Himalayas you started to explore. It started happening because I think it started getting cultivated when you reached there, possibly. But yeah, it's brilliantly said in the sense that the gut feel cannot be random thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It cannot be random thing. And so what you did was taking ownership of something which, as a leader, you possibly were anticipating, right? Very interesting. Now, when you go back to your mountains, your Himalayas, what it actually told you not to be bothered about?
Not to be bothered about taking yourself too seriously. The first lesson that I got from the Himalayas, when I went to the Himalayas for the first time, it was not out of choice. It was a part of our GT training. So a bunch of us actually went grumbling and complaining that why do we have to do a trek? And why are we being put through this expedition? This is not something that we are going to use in Tata Steel or the shop floor or wherever it is that we work. The first sight of the Himalayas, and I felt I belonged there. I knew it that I was a part of these Himalayas. And that's when I told my parents that, when you named me Himanshu, did you realize that I would be a part, an ansh of the Himalayas?
Oh, wow.
And
in hindsight,
the first lesson
Yeah.
that I learned was that of humility. When you look at the Himalayas, they are so huge. You feel insignificant. And you realize, don't take yourself too seriously. Look at this. You're very insignificant. That is one. And the second thing that Himalayas teach me every time I go there is to live in the moment. When I go to the Himalayas, I love reading, like you already know. I love music. I never read when I go to the Himalayas. I never take any, a lot of people take their headphones and they have some music because I want to listen to the Himalayas. I want to read the Himalayas and the nature around me. So I don't need books or music when I go to the Himalayas. Once you live in the here and now, the Himalayas keep reaffirming the faith that actually builds your character. So those are the two things. And by the way, anytime I have to make a significant decision in my life, I go to the Himalayas, and somehow I get the answers.
Oh, wow. So that's why you keep on going there once a year at least, right?
Absolutely. I try. Again, I
You
try.
try, and I hope that someday I am able to be with you if I am able to be as fit as you are.
Just a matter of time and practice.
I'm into that. When we are talking about mountaineering, Himalayas, I mean, personally, I see you as someone who has consciously kept himself so fit, so agile, works on his wellness and fitness. How it started happening, and how do you see this shaping you in future?
Early on, I've been a yoga practitioner since my childhood. So it was a part of my growing up. So therefore, there was this bit of a consciousness about taking care of your health. People around me, so I was always into some or other kind of sports. I like playing sports. I don't like watching sports.
I remember.
So the only thing that I watch is World Cup football. So that's once in 4 years. So many people find it very weird that I don't watch cricket. But it's just who I am. But I've always loved playing something or the other. So I remember in my school days I used to play cricket. I did some boxing as well. I did some martial arts. Thereafter, I picked up table tennis, and I was fairly good at it. I was a long jumper. Then I picked up snooker, and I played up to the state level while I was working with Tata Steel. Chess was always there. I won the championship in Tata Steel. Of course, the professionals were not allowed. So we had some people like Dibendu Barua who were a part of Tata Steel. So they were not allowed to participate, and therefore people like me could, had a chance. So sports was always a part of my life, and yoga was always a part of my life. And one of the things, and I've said it, I think way more often than I should, that a healthy mind can reside only in a healthy body. And that is something that I'm very, very particular about, A. B, I want to continue walking in my Himalayas and climbing mountains till I can. And for that, I have to make sure that I'm fit. I think these are the two things that drive me. Doing whatever I'm doing with the best of my capability, and obviously going to my Himalayas.
Wow.
And therefore, I urge everyone. In fact, I tell them that pursue all your passions, whatever you want, but make sure that you're taking out at least 1 hour every day for physical exercise. And whatever exercise that you find comfort in.
I remember you telling me that it's midnight and now I need to finish my workout for the day. And that was way past midnight. So I think that kind of discipline is very rare.
Yeah.
This fitness and the leadership, how do you connect it?
See, a leader has to be mentally agile. And if you have to be mentally agile, you have to be physically fit. Is one of the things that I've always maintained. A leader has to lead from the front. And you can lead from the front, again, if you're fit, both bodily and mentally. A leader has to work harder than everyone around him or her. And if you don't, you're not a leader. And again, for that, you have to be physically and mentally fit. So there's no way you can avoid being physically and mentally fit.
Himanshu ji, I can tell you the way you, transmit energy, vibrancy, and the fitness. I think whoever comes close to you has to be someone who's not really fit mentally, not to get into fitness. Let's when we are talking about leadership, what is going forward? What is that convention in management, or you've been a very active part of corporate life, Tata Steel as well, and now also in management. What is that convention or thought you would feel that needs to change or needs to get addressed?
I think the very concept of leadership, it needs a paradigm shift. And I'll tell you why am I saying this. Earlier when we talked about leadership, we really didn't talk about the process. We always talked about leaders. And therefore, we try to give examples that this is a charismatic leader, this is a leader who has these kind of attributes, so let's try to be like him, let's try to be like her. And then there was a paradigm shift where they started talking about leadership as a process. And then they said that, everyone has the potential to become a leader. However, at the same time, whenever they talked about leadership, they only focused on, and all management sciences, social sciences have only focused on influencing people, that the leader's job is to influence people, give them a direction, and make sure that the team that you're leading is cohesive and coherent. So these have been 4 elements of leadership. I think that needs a paradigm shift. Why? Because we are not saying influencing towards what. If your end goal
Yes.
is not a good
Correct.
goal, if your end goal is not one of integrity, which is looking at the collective good and looking only at individual good, or looking things at from a very blinkered perspective of making profits, etc., then I think we are missing the point of leadership. So that is one, that whenever we talk about objective or a goal or a vision, integrity has to be a part of that, number one. Number two, we have to talk about leadership being inclusive and equitable. Those are the elements that seem to be missing. And equitable, inclusive and equitable. For example, we are talking about a Viksit Bharat in 2047. But given that 1% of people hold 40% of the wealth and 10% of the people hold 60% of the wealth, do we want a Viksit Bharat like that? No, not at all. I'm not saying it'll become zero, but this gap between the haves and the have-nots has to reduce, and leadership has to be cognizant towards it. So I think that has to change. And the third thing I would say has to change is that whenever we think about leadership or talk about leadership, it's always a person who's walking in the front and people following that person, or a person sitting on the top. That's how we show a leader. He's sitting on the apex, and you say that, what? Leadership is very lonely because you're sitting there on the top all by yourself. I think that has to change. What we have to talk about is that a leader's job, the foremost job, is to be a servant to others and help them in achieving what they want to achieve. So this concept of servant leadership has to come in, where you're not up there and giving gyan to everyone around you or giving orders, worse, but you should be here looking and talking it to everyone and figuring out what is it that would take for me to do for him or her so that he or she reaches his or her true potential. I think that's what now leadership has to start looking at.
That's a very, very deep thought, and I think it's a noble thought. I hope it starts happening, because this is something that you are actually challenging the mindsets of the current leaders and the processes now.
Somebody has to.
Somebody has to, and why not you? Now, when we talk about leadership, mindsets, behind the podium and responsibilities, who is Himanshu Rai as a person?
Well, Himanshu Rai is Himanshu Rai.
And I have not said Dr. Himanshu Rai purposefully.
Those are all degrees and designations. I don't think I have something which is hidden from people. Well, some people do say that there are 10, 20 Himanshu Rais that they can see. But there's something common to all of those Himanshu Rais. Obviously, if I'm, for example, talking here, I'm a slightly different person than when I'm sitting all by myself, or if I'm talking to my friends, etc., etc. But what I can say, the true Himanshu Rai is someone who does believe in Nishkam Karm, and not just for the sake of talking about it, is someone who loves to laugh, someone who loves to be in the here and now, someone who enjoys people's company as much as enjoys his own company, and someone who doesn't take himself too seriously and can laugh at himself. I think that's what the Himanshu Rai
Can laugh at himself is something which not many even think of.
And which is why they don't laugh much. And which is why I keep laughing all the time, because I'm laughing mostly at myself.
This is true. This is absolutely brilliant, honest Himanshu ji here. Ek Disha, if you have to give the today's generation a message, what should be their moment of direction? What should be their direction or mindset?
One thing that I keep telling people, and that really hasn't changed over the years, is that have a personal vision. Many people start thinking about the collective's vision, which is an organizational vision, country's vision, absolutely. But you should have a personal vision also. You should know what is it that you wish to do? What is the purpose of your life? And when you figure out the purpose of your life, it gives you the direction in which you have to work. It gives you Ek Disha for yourself. And, I keep quoting my favorite passage from Alice in Wonderland, where the Cheshire Cat says that if you don't know where you wish to reach, then walk on any road. And the message in there is that you first of all need to know what is your destination. And thereafter, it's not the destination which is important. It is a journey that is important.
Correct.
So I would rather give two advices. One, have a personal vision. And second, make sure that you're enjoying the journey and not getting stuck or obsessed with only the destination. The journey is far more important and far more interesting.
But journey is very challenging, at times frustrating as well.
Absolutely. That is what makes it joyous. I mean, if there are no challenges, you would get bored after some time.
I agree to that, and that is who you are.
That's who I try to be.
That is, and so in a way you are saying that one need to be selfish.
Not selfish. One needs to have an understanding of self, which is different from being selfish.
Very, very different. Very, very different. Correct. A story of your life which talks about leadership.
Talks about leadership.
Through a story.
I would perhaps narrate a story, and I'll talk about, how somebody's philosophy, somebody who I admired and therefore who inspired me, actually rubbed on to me to do something. I've had the very good fortune of meeting and talking to Mr. J.R.E. Tata twice in my life. And one of the things that J.R.E. always did was he did his own stuff. Which means he would do his own job, he would pick up his own briefcase, etc., etc. There are so many stories I can narrate to you, and one of my favorite stories used to be when Dr. Rai, who was technically my second boss when I was working with Tata Steel, he used to talk about it, and he wrote in his memoir that he and J.R.E. Tata, they were flying together, they got down and they were waiting for the stuff at the carousel. And J.R.E.'s bag was coming, and J.R.E.'s bag had J.R.E. written on it. So you knew. So, when you see your boss's bag,
your natural
instinct is to,
correct.
Try and pick it.
Yes.
And Doc, I said that, I extended my hand and there was this slap on my wrist from J.R.E., who then wagged an admonishing finger and said, Jamshed, if I need your help, I'll let you know. And then he picked up his own bag and walked away.
Amazing.
So doing your own things. And likewise, for example, if J.R.E. was to be on the shop floor and if he needed a chair, he would not wait for somebody to bring a chair to him. He would pick up his chair and put it there. And I still remember these were early days when I was here at IIM Indore, and there was an event where I was supposed to speak. And after the event, there was some cultural performance. So I spoke, and there was only my chair. And I assumed that now that chair has to be removed because of the cultural program. So I picked up the chair and I started walking away. And suddenly, 5-6 people pounced on me and said, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I was a little taken aback. I said, are we not supposed to remove the chair? They said, no, but why are you doing it? The funny part was that not that they did it themselves, then they started calling somebody else, apparently whose job it was to take that chair.
Delegation at its best.
I picked the chair and I said, my institution, my work. So that's something that I learned, and there are so many things that I've learned from J.R.E. There's so many things that I've learned from my Himalayas, but I've tried to be true to them, and I've tried to implement them and practice them in my life. And I see not only do they shape me, but they also reinforce and make sure that my own conviction in that value system grows every day.
But this is very difficult to keep yourself motivated on a daily basis where, whether you agree this to or not, you are sitting at the top, right? How do you keep driving yourself, re-establishing your beliefs that come what may, because you come across all kind of situations, people on a daily basis. And has it ever given you any doubt in your mind that what I am doing, I should change the way I am doing things? I should change my ethics?
No, ethics for sure, no. I don't think I've ever second-guessed myself so far as my ethics are concerned.
Great.
Decision, perhaps. I may have relooked at my decision because of some advice that I got from somebody else or some new information comes to me. So I have tried all my life not to let ego come in the way of changing a decision should new information be given to me or should somebody give me an advice. And I believe that that advice seems to make more sense as compared to what I was thinking. Or if circumstances change, I wouldn't mind changing a decision. Doubt, no. Ethics, no. The boundaries that I have, both in professional life as well as my personal life, are very, very clear. My red lines are very, very clear. There's some things which are non-negotiable. And the second part of what you asked, how do I motivate myself every day?
Yes.
You know, there was a statement that I made. I didn't realize it was a philosophical statement at that point of time, but it turned out to be, and that was, you should never be the same person twice. And what I meant by that was you have to be a better person tomorrow as compared to today. You have to be a better person day after tomorrow as compared to tomorrow. And by better person, I don't mean that you have to bring about some kind of a massive change in your life. I keep telling people, read a few pages of a book, write something, talk to a new person, listen to some new music, and you will learn something new. You know, when people talk about motivation, they believe that they will listen to a motivational speaker or read a book and then they'll stay motivated perpetually. No, motivation is like bathing. You can't bathe one day and then you say, oh, I'm done for a year. And some people might do that, but it doesn't work that way. You have to bathe every day to make sure that you're clean.
Correct. At times even twice.
At times even twice.
Yeah.
Likewise, you have to motivate yourself every day. You have to talk to yourself every day. You have to evaluate your life every day. You know, a Socratic axiom, another one that I've tried to live by, is that an unexamined life is not worth living. You must examine your life.
Wow.
You must examine what you're doing and why you're doing whatever it is that you're doing. And if you do so every day, if you talk to yourself every day, I think you'll get up every morning thinking, what new should I do today?
Very deep. You spoke about morning. When do you sleep?
No, I do sleep whenever I fall asleep. I try to sleep on time. Haven't really succeeded much, though, you know, I would love to because I travel so much, different time zones, so at times my body simply doesn't understand. But at least I try to get into bed and, you know, close my eyes and stop thinking. So I try to get adequate rest. And I think if you exercise well, the body also kind of gives you adequate rest.
So is meditation, yoga and exercise, all these three are your regular
Oh, absolutely.
rituals?
Absolutely.
Wow.
These three plus reading,
Oh,
writing, and listening to music, they're essential parts of my daily life.
writing, I could, yes, guess. Listening to music.
Yeah.
We'll come to it.
Okay.
When we are talking about now the kind of routine or rituals and hobbies, what is that surprise or hobby which in your thought should be known to more people, which is not known to people?
And most of the things that I do are known to people, given that my life is a fairly public one. Yeah, I think one thing that people may not know, that I have a lot of musical instruments. I don't know how to play them, but I have tried my hands on many, many things. So I've tried my hands on piano, I've tried my hands on tabla, I've tried my hands on guitar, and I love doing so. Eventually, an ex-student of mine, he gifted me a djembe, and you can
Oh.
play the djembe just like
Yes,
you can
yes,
play on
yes.
a table.
Yeah.
So this is something that not many people would know unless they come to my house, that I love fiddling around with instruments, musical instruments, and hoping that one day I would start playing one of them.
It should happen fast. So actually, and essentially, what you are saying is that you actually have no boundaries when it comes to music, when it comes to passion, when it comes to learning.
Not at all. I love trying out everything, including cooking, by the way.
Do you really eat?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm not a foodie, but I do eat.
Yeah, we will remember that. Let's go to few, rapid fire kind of a thing.
All right.
And let's see how we take this forward. You spoke about music. I have two questions on this. A song which would lift your mood.
I can't think of a particular song. I do have a movie that lifts my mood, and that is Notting Hill. So it's like my comfort movie.
Wow, that's a very unusual one, given the kind of profile you have.
Yes, yes. But if I were to choose a song, I would say Deewana Hua Badal. There was a time, and why this song in particular? Because there was a time, another part of my life, and I also used to conduct antakshris. I'm not a good singer. I'm an average singer, which means you're not going to ask me for an encore, but you wouldn't start throwing stones at me. But what I lacked in my singing skills, I made up for it with my stage presence and my humor. And I would always start my antakshri with singing this song, the Mohammed Rafi song. Ye dekh ke dil jhuma. So that is a song which
Bit of Shammi Kapoor in you.
bit of Shamil Kapoor, bit of that madness.
Yes, maybe much more than. Okay, so would you want to sing a line on that? Let's see. We are not at
Like I
that
said,
No. We are protected here.
ये देख के दिल झूमा ली प्यार ने अंगड़ाई दीवाना हुआ बादल.
Amazing. And it came in a flash, huh? This is not edit. It came actually in a flash. Again, going back to the song, you as a leader, as an idol, entering a hall, an auditorium full of people, which song you would want to be played when you were entering?
It was a hard day's night.
Oh my God!
The Beatles.
And still the goosebumps. Still the goosebumps. Wow. So I mean, coming from a place which was, it used to be and still is the rural India, Kanpur, having someone who talks about Richard Gere, who talks about Julia Roberts in the movies, who talks about Beatles.
Julia Roberts and
Amazing.
Hugh Grant. In Notting Hill.
Sorry, Hugh Grant. Right. Yeah. If you have to put a billboard somewhere, what it should read?
Say what you mean, do what you say.
Taking me time to digest it. Yeah, that is something. Okay. Something which you feel that you should have done, you have not done.
Nothing. I think I've done everything that I've wanted to. I can't think of anything that I wanted to do and haven't done.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Very content and yet very energetic. I mean, there are so many things we can talk about, and I would want to, but knowing that you have a time constraint, I would want to ask you one last question. If today you have to deliver your last lecture, what you are going to say?
I'm going to tell people that don't measure your success by comparing yourself to others. Don't measure your success by even comparing yourself to you. But measure your success only in terms of, are you continuing to move in that journey towards that goal, towards that purpose that you have chosen for yourself? Are you moving towards your Swadharma or not? That is the only question that matters. One. And second thing I'm going to tell them is, whenever you're in a doubt about what you're doing, whether it is right or wrong, just ask yourself, can you live with it for the rest of your life? And if the answer is yes, just go ahead and do it.
That's a very profound thought, and that is why I said in the beginning that no one could have done it better for Ek Disha Moments. It leaves us with a lot of thoughts, lot of solutions, and lot of questions to be asked. Thank you so much, sir.
My
Thank you
pleasure,
so much.
Vijay.
It's a pleasure to have you.
It was a delight. It was a delight talking to you.
A fascinating conversation doesn't come to an end. It gives you a beginning to reflect, to pause, and to introspect. You want to reach summit, you want to be on new heights, learn to pause, learn to challenge yourself, learn to be truthful. And that's what Dr. Rai has conveyed, has given an example by his life, through his life, and through the conversation which we had today. That's what Ek Disha Moment is all about. Telling us, challenge your mindset. Always look for upscaling, reaching new heights.